for the 20th century, every decade pretty much had an ism. Cubism, Dadaism, Surrealism, Abstract Expressionism, pop art, kept going through the end of the 90s pretty much. You could track it in little, sort of like MoMA going through the collection as they used to tell the story.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you get the history of art built up on all these mostly white, mostly male artists sort of progressing. And then it hit this point around early 2000s where there was no more ism. And actually the ism that was the art market. That became the dominant new form.
Wow.
And that's controlled the thinking and the making of art for about 20 years. Roundabout way, the future, which we're not at yet, is somehow a new communication way where artists can bypass the museums, the galleries, by communicating themselves through technology.
Are you highlighting maybe an Instagram potentially?
We haven't solved it. It's not through an Instagram account. It's a new way of communicating with an audience that bypasses distribution system. It's sort of like for music, once you could get what was Napster, changed the whole business of music. Anybody could go in their basement. Justin Bieber came out of YouTube or whatever. He didn't need a record company, didn't need radio stations. He could communicate to his audience around the world and control it.
But then this gets back to the issue of it is an elitist space, that there are all these people that need to qualify its value. And so if those right people, you know, if the Mugrabis or the right collectors aren't standing behind that artist, then they don't necessarily have that value. And it's interesting, you know, that we use the music industry so much as an example to say, oh, look how, you know, when musicians lost the ability to make money on records, they went to brands. And when artists, visual artists, we see them trying to do that, they immediately get pegged as commercial.
Well, music is the same song I'm hearing yesterday, I'm hearing today. A painting, they vary, and they need to be seen in real life. At the same time, you can have an elitism of ideas. So I'm going to sort of answer it in a different way. I still believe in a higher level of thinking sometimes. So I was at a wedding, and I was talking with my wife to some French guy, and he was asking about art, and I was explaining that it would be like, there's a dialogue that would be like, if I was talking about nuclear physics to somebody, you wouldn't be talking about doggies playing poker. You'd be doing a very high level conversation. And I said, there's a high level conversation about that with art. And the guy said, well, I'm a nuclear physicist. And he wanted to talk about art. So it was like, you know, he understood that it's not always going to be at a base level. And some art will be for a broader group of people, and that's great. And some will be for a select group of people, and that's great too. It's like, don't try to be who and what you aren't. So some things are based on an enormous amount of subconscious and conscious knowledge about the history of art, and other things aren't, and sometimes they can be both. And as we get into the future, and I don't know if I'll still be alive to see the success, somebody will figure out how to bridge in real life to an elite thing with a communication platform that's more direct to the audience. And I don't think it's augmented reality. There's something will happen. Something always happens that's like blows everything away.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to be, but I do know it will happen.